Welcome to the Sunshine Coast ElderCollege preview of the fall 2021 courses. My name is Thomas Kern, and I'm presently the chair of the ElderCollege Program Committee and will be leading you through this preview. We acknowledge with gratitude that we are gathering on the traditional ancestral lands of the Sechelt and Squamish First Nations. We had a very successful spring term, our second going online on Zoom, with 345 registrations. We are now ready for our next term, fall 2021, with 14 courses. I now ask Mary Beth Knechtel, board chair of the Sunshine Coast ElderCollege, to say a few words. Mary Beth, please.
Hello. Welcome to the online preview of our courses for fall 2021. I'm Mary Beth Knechtel, the chair of the Sunshine Coast ElderCollege Executive Board, and I've just been elected president of the society. We're offering a total of 14 courses this term, 10 presented in person and 4 presented via Zoom. Our surveys of audience preference have told us that most of you prefer in-person courses. So as long as provincial health regulations permit, we have tried to accommodate your wishes. The health and safety of participants, facilitators, and presenters is of foremost importance. So proof of vaccination, social distancing, wearing masks indoors will be required unless otherwise specified for individual courses. For the information of anyone new to Sunshine Coast ElderCollege, we're a self-funded, not-for-profit organization and receive no grants or outside sources of funding other than course fees. We've been able to reduce course fees by 20% in recent years since separating ourselves from other organizations. As well, we are a completely volunteer organization, made up of an administrative board and a program committee who solicit volunteer instructors for courses and facilitate the program of courses on offer. We're a dedicated bunch, committed to the enrichment of our community through delivery of third age education for the cohort of 55 plus years. Please sign up for one or more of the exciting courses on offer. Some of them will prove to be very popular, so log in early to guarantee your seat. We also serve the wider community by sponsoring lectures and public events open to the whole Sunshine Coast community. Please note that these public lectures and events are free to all. One such free event, the Clifford Smith Memorial Lecture, is coming up on October 2nd. And features Daniel Heath Justice, who holds the Canada Research Chair in Indigenous Literature and Expressive Culture at UBC. Dr. Justice has taught courses for ElderCollege in recent years and was awarded the Order of Canada last year. If you're interested in the history of ElderCollege on the coast, please visit our website and click on News to access our new publication, The Challenge of Change, the first 20 years of Sunshine Coast ElderCollege. It contains extensive appendices compiled by Keith Maxwell that you will appreciate, I'm sure. And now I'll turn things back over to Thomas.
Thank you very much, Mary Beth. I now have a number of slides with informations about course registration and other important aspects for the fall program. Publication of our program and anything to do with ElderCollege, please refer to our website, newsletter, and we ask you to, if you're not signed up, please do sign up for the newsletter and consult ads in the Coast Reporter. Registration for our courses is via our own website, not via the SCRD. Payment for courses is via our own website using PayPal or a credit card. The cost is still only $35 since we are not required to collect GST. Registration is done directly. You find a link to the fall 2021 registration. If you need help, a dedicated email address is available, registrar@sunshinecoasteldercollege.ca. Payment of courses: when you select your course or courses, they will be in a shopping cart, just like you are used to from other online shopping. When you have completed your selection, you are directed to the payment part. Payment will be accepted via PayPal, Visa card, or MasterCard. If you require assistance or have questions about registration or payments, please contact the registrar at registrar@sunshinecoasteldercollege.ca. For contacting Elder College for all general inquiries, suggestions, complaints, you may use the contact page on our website, or there is an info email, info@sunshinecoasteldercollege.ca. If you are not yet on our mailing list, please consider signing up at the below address. Because we're still in the pandemic, we have given considerable considerations to how to be safe. So classes are in person as well as on Zoom. Our age group 55 and up is particularly vulnerable to COVID-19, and variants are a concern. We are returning to in-person classes with great caution and will follow all BC government health orders and guidelines. We also require that all facilitators, presenters, and participants are fully vaccinated. Proof will be by the card from the vaccination clinics. We strongly recommend that masks be worn at indoor classes. If public health guidelines change and necessitate a transition to Zoom, you will be given the opportunity to withdraw from the course with registration costs refunded. These slides and recording of the preview session will be posted to our website. We will now introduce the courses in sequence by starting date. The first course is Geology of Thormanby Island. It is introduced by the facilitator, Keith Maxwell.
Hello, I'm Keith Maxwell and a member of the Sunshine Coast ElderCollege Program Committee. I will be facilitating 3 courses for the fall 2021 session. The first class in the lineup is about the geology of Thormanby Island, presented by our resident professional geologist, Peter Hughes. This is a repeat of a similar course from 2017. The course is on 3 consecutive Wednesdays starting 25 August. The first and third classes are in the classroom to be held in the meeting room at St. Hilda's Church starting at 2 p.m. The field trip will take place on September 1st out of Secret Cove from the Buccaneer Marina and will run from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We'll meet at the marina at 10:45 a.m. Note that there is an additional cost for this course to cover the expense of the field trip. In addition to the normal course fee of $35, which you'll pay upon registration, we will be collecting $80 per person at the first session, either in cash or a personal check made out to Sunshine Coast ElderCollege Society. The course is limited to 10 people. If you want to attend, sign up early. Given the nature of the field trip, it is mandatory that participants be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Accordingly, please bring your vaccination card or record for verification at the first session on August 25th. Here is our mode of transportation for the field trip. And here is a map showing where to go to catch the boat. I will be emailing this map to those who register. And here is a map showing where we'll be going out of Secret Cove. This slide shows the 4 places where we will stop on the trip to learn about the geology of Thornby Island. Be prepared and dress accordingly for the field trip. It may very well turn out to be an amphibious operation. You can pretend you're making history. The next 3 slides show some of the interesting features we will learn about. A mix of sand and volcanic rock. Why? We'll see some very interesting signs of significant volcanic activity and just interesting folded volcanic layering. This will be an exciting and interesting course. Please join us. Thank you.
The next course, Plant-Based Nutrition, is introduced by the presenters, Deborah and Jerry Pajot.
Hello, I'm Deborah Pajot.
And I'm Jerry Pajot. Welcome to our Plant-Based Nutrition course preview. In our 4-week, 8-hour course, we review the impact of plant-based nutrition on the world around us and within. As you may be aware, happily, the current Canada's Food Guide promotes a plant-based diet. In Session 2, we consider which label best describes humans. Many of us grew up hearing humans described as omnivores due to eating both plant and animal-based foods. Some meat-loving humans even describe themselves as carnivores. However, when applied correctly, these terms refer to the physiology of an animal. In this session, we examine the anatomical and biochemical characteristics of human digestion compared to other animals to see which classification fits us best. Spoiler alert, humans are herbivores.
In Session 3, we look at the impact of dietary choices on human health. In this slide, using Canadian statistics, we see that the impact of diet on risk of death is second only to the use of tobacco and is far more influential than our genes. We cover the most common chronic conditions in North America, such as heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and more.
Since the first 3 sessions lead us to conclude that a low-fat diet of whole plant foods is optimal for humans, in Session 4, we talk about what to eat on a health-promoting plant-based diet, including common concerns such as protein, iron, and calcium. We provide evidence-based references for all of our claims and an abundance of additional resources for self-paced study.
We hope to see you in class September 10th.
The next course, Capture Memories with Your iPhone, is introduced by the presenter, Jack Pope. This course is a repeat and always sells out very quickly. Jack, please.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the digital world. The iPhone has seamlessly connected us to this world, and the iPhone camera has revolutionized photography in so many ways. This course starts next month, and it will take place over 4 Wednesday afternoons. You see the dates. And hopefully, we're going to be in a classroom for hands-on support. But before you sign up for this course, I need you to ask yourself, why do you take pictures? And more importantly, what is it that you want to do with them? This course will teach you how to take better pictures with your iPhone using classic compositional strategies. We'll look at how to master the iPhone camera and do some basic editing techniques. But if you want to be able to enjoy your photos, it's important to keep them organized so that you can find them quickly and relive those great memories. So we'll spend some time looking at strategies for doing this and organizing albums and slideshows. Next slide, please. Photography is a visual art form, and the great classical artists have used a variety of compositional strategies to both attract and hold the attention of the viewer. The first one is leading lines, and our eyes are naturally attracted to these lines. And in this case, they're used to lead the eye toward our subject, which is a beautiful lighthouse in Cape Cod. Next slide. Foreground framing is another strategy. It helps us to frame the subject in our composition. So I've used the trees to frame this beautiful sunset looking out over the Trail Islands. Next. There's a common tendency to put our subject in the center of the viewfinder, but by positioning the subject over to one side, it pulls the eye in that direction, guiding it toward the main subject. In this case, we have a secondary subject in the opposite corner, which creates a dynamic tension and interest as the eye moves back and forth between the sunset and the kayak. Next slide, please. Editing is critically important to making a good picture better. I love the beautiful blue reflection on the still water and the blue sky in the background, but there were a number of distractions. So let's have a look at the next slide. So I've cropped in, taken out the distractions, I've straightened the horizon, I've utilized the trees in the top right corner to frame, and the mast and the boats are nice and straight, and I brought out the vibrant colors of the skyline and the reflection. Next slide, please. Finally, we'll tackle a problem of what to do with the thousands of pictures we take, but we never look at. It's so easy to take lots of pictures, but if we don't tidy up, our collection quickly becomes cluttered with debris. So we'll look at a simple way to review, decide on the keepers, and keep those keepers organized with simple digital albums so that you can find and fully enjoy all of these wonderful memories. Once again, 4 Wednesday afternoons starting next month, and I look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Course is something very special, and we have some preliminary information. More will be coming as we get this all organized together with our First Nations neighbors. It will be a free series, open to everyone. All ages are welcome. The title of this series is Welcome to Our Swaya. This free series will provide our community with an opportunity to learn about our Sechelt Nation neighbors, their history, struggles, and aspirations in a uniquely Indigenous way. The presenter is Howis, known as Calvin Cragen, an elder, hereditary chief, and oral knowledge keeper. For updates, see our webpage, newsletter, and advertising. It will be 4 Saturdays from 2 to 4, September 18, 25, October 9 and 16. The venue will be the Sechelt Nation Longhouse, subject to health guidelines. I will now show you an introductory video, and the film was made by local producers with funding from Canada Council of the Arts and the BC Arts Council.
Hevos chum squish, Sechelt stotola. Ukchum siaya, nitlatetum suya. This is where I do all my work. Yeah, always traditionally, our people always, whatever event they were getting into, they would always go through a cleansing before they entered into that event. It took many, many forms of what they were going to do, but always they would clear their mind, body, and spirit so that they were prepared for the day. And I keep that practice going. The first thing I do every day is do the smudging to have a clear mind, a clear body, and a clean spirit, so that I will move forward following my spirit throughout the day, and my spirit guides me through the day. Okay, to begin, these are photographs of my family. This is my late wife, and she comes from a long line of chiefs also. She comes from Chief Johnson, and my chieftainship comes from Chief Julius. So my family have a strong line of chieftainship because of not only what I carry, but what my wife carried. And this was her family, her mother. This one's our marriage, when her and I got married in 1965. This was her when she turned 60. We're still madly in love. And this is our family and our grandchildren. Those are all of our grandchildren. And Sito is holding his daughter, our first great-granddaughter. And that's Manuela and Sito and Cassius and Marcellus and Alea and Jewel. And I'm going to come here. So this one is a really old picture. That's my dad. This is my mother. This is my grandmother, who I was really close to. And you can tell that's me. This is me in my first year as chief. I was in my 20s. This one's so historical because the Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia was here. And he was here to honor my dad. They had taken away his hereditary chieftainship then, and our people elected him. The first election ever on the Sechelt Band, Sechelt Nation, and he was elected chief. So again, you'll see that the picture of my dad, he was 30 years old there. And that was the first year of him being elected. So he became an executive chief there. But at 30, he lost his hereditation too. You know, why would a government have the power and the right to come here and strip the hereditation powers of a hereditary chief? And then for them to dictate and say that now we had to go by the Indian Act and have an election. So that's my great-grandfather, Squawquayam. That's Basil Joe, my grandfather. That's his dad. So his original name was Joe Ladali. The Indian Affairs people changed it. And he ended up being a Joe rather than Joe Ladali. When the first settlers came into our territory, they were accepted by the leaders during that time. And you have to remember, before that time, the settlers came from Norway, they came from England, they came from the Portuguese territories.
Nice place you got here. What do you call it?
Sechelt.
Sechelt? What does that mean?
It means to go over and under logs in the forest. How long have you been here?
Oh, we just arrived. An hour or two. You?
14,000 years.
Any more villages like this one?
About 28 in our four main groups. Our four main groups, the Hanikchin, Sonai, Tawamp, and Skechos. Here's our winter village.
Well, that smells delicious. What is it?
Open fire salmon. Come eat, we'll share with you.
We'd all love to. Us and our friends.
Bonjour. Hola.
Hey,
Guten Tag.
how'd you do?
So that's all 5 of you coming?
Well, for now. Should be about 50,000 in 150 years.
Guys, look like you needed some water.
Through that interference by the government and the missionaries, they spoiled that relationship. They interrupted it in a way that they came in, they started setting boundaries and giving pieces of land to government officials. Let's talk about greed. Greed and today's standards, how destructive that could be, and compare it to with our people who never had experienced that word greed, because all of the families that lived and occupied and cared for and nurtured our land and all our resources, there was no word for greed. They only took what they needed to have to survive, and without that, I think all the habitat and the wildlife would never have survived. And that speaks to our old chiefs that tried to prevent clear cutting in our land. They knew how devastating that was to our land and to the resources. But then the government stepped in and by gunboat escorted our chiefs out of the territory, prevented them from protecting what was rightfully theirs. But you know, the survivors of all those leadership never gave up and they never relented and tried to protect what we had, the land, the resources. And even though we got down to less than 200 people from probably 20,000 people, those 200 people survived. And there's a reason why they had to survive, because they needed to continue to protect the land and the resources. I continue to be busy. I continue to share my culture, my spirituality, and being a knowledge keeper. I'm using all of those gifts that I've attained throughout my whole life. So I see what I'm doing now is educating the public about who we were, why we were, and the course that I'll be teaching is going to be all about that. It's going to be sharing my knowledge about the history of our people, the land, and the language. And I'm happy about that. And along the way I'll tell stories and legends and myths, and that's the way our history was carried. When I get up and I start telling stories, where one story ends, another one begins. And those stories carry a whole history of not only my family, but the people, the land, and the language.
The next course, Hot Topics, is introduced by Pat Hausberg, one of the two moderators. This is a very popular course.
Hello, and thanks for your interest in Hot Topics. This fall, our course starts on September 20th, moderated by Karen Bell and Pat Hausberg, and sessions will be on Monday mornings from 10 to noon at St. Hilda's Anglican Church. I've attended Hot Topics since 2018. For me, it's been a lot of fun and very stimulating. I became one of the hosts last year. This fall, Karen Bell joins us as a co-moderator. Hot Topics is a unique experience, providing a safe environment that fosters free and respectful discussions among participants. If you enjoy lively conversations, diversity of opinions, and are looking to expand your understanding on a variety of issues, Hot Topics is delivered as a moderated roundtable driven by the interests of participants. The group selects and researches topics
The next course, Social Robots for Brain Health, is introduced by the facilitator, Corinne McCoggan.
Hi there, my name is Corinne McCoggan, and I will be your host for the Social Robots for Brain Health presentation. This presentation will be delivered online via Zoom on Thursday, September the 21st from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. You may be wondering what a social robot is. You aren't alone. Socially assistive robots with various functions are being designed and developed to assist with health care and social needs. Companion-type robots and service robots that focus on social interaction are considered to be a potential solution to support independence and brain health. Social robots come in various sizes and shapes. Some even resemble dogs and cats. For this presentation, we are privileged to have it presented by Dr. Jill Doso, who is a neuroscientist at UBC. During the session, Jill will present the current state of social robot technologies, ongoing and future research in the fields of robotic and aging. Participants will be able to meet some of these social robots through videos and demonstrations, as well as discussing the benefits and potential ethical issues, and also be invited to participate in ongoing UBC research, which is optional. Come and join us as we learn about these emerging assistive devices and technologies, which may prove useful in the future to provide companionship, complement human support and interactions, and support independence and healthy brain function. We look forward to seeing you.
The next course, Introduction to Regional Districts, is introduced by the facilitator, Keith Maxwell.
This course on regional district governance has a very provocative title. It will run on 4 consecutive Tuesdays starting on September 28th, running from 2 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon on Zoom. Come join us to learn about the joys and woes of regional government. Our presenter for this course is Donna McMahon, the Area E Director for the Sunshine Coast Regional District. We'll get things straight from the horse's mouth. The first session will be all about regional governments in general, where they fit into the mosaic of government in the province, and how they came to be and what they do. The second session is specifically about the SCRD and its workings. We'll learn about how they fit in with other municipal governments, what services they provide to us, and how that all works. The third session continues from the second, with more information on such things as taxation, resources, regulations, costs, and the 5 horsemen of the property tax apocalypse, whatever that is. And the final session is about problems in regional governance, challenges in the future. Please join us for this interesting course about the level of government that touches our lives the most. Thank you.
The next course, Adventures in Travel, is introduced by the facilitator, Ron Kidd.
The Adventures in Travel course this year will run on 4. The first presentation will be by Mike Algretti and Elaine Futerman, who spent a month walking in the high-altitude Dolpul region of Nepal, miles and miles of walking, mostly above 14,000 feet, even up to 18,000 feet. The Dolpul region of Nepal was immortalized in Peter Matheson's book, The Snow Leopard, and it's an area that still has vestiges of the Tibetan Buddhist culture, which is visible in many places. In the second presentation, my wife Jill and I will talk about 2 walking trips we did in Europe. The first one was in Tuscany, walking from San Gimignano, the city of towers, which was very interesting when we were there, because there was a medieval festival on, and we walked to Siena, which I'm sure everybody knows about. Then the following year, we walked in the Dordogne region of France, which is just east of Bordeaux, and it's the area where there are a lot of cave paintings, 20,000-year-old cave paintings, and we were able to get to see some of those. We then moved to the lands of antiquity, Egypt and Jordan. Sheila Carlson will tell us about visiting the original pyramids, the step pyramids at Saqqara, and about days cruising on the Nile, visiting Luxor and Karnak. Then across the heart of the unforgiving Sinai Peninsula to Jordan, where they visited Petra, a famous archaeological site, and also a visit to Wadi Rum of Lawrence of Arabia fame, before finally a dip in the Dead Sea. Our final presentation is about the Southeast Asian nation of Myanmar, formerly known as Burma. Rianne Pipro worked in Rangoon, or now known as Yangon, for 3 years from 2015 to 2018. And at that time, Myanmar was experiencing a rapid transformation as the military government had seemingly relinquished their rule and a democracy was beginning to emerge. But as we know now, that was very short-lived. Rianne will give some of the historical background to the country, the culture, the ethnicity, while sharing photographs of the many areas that she visited. So, once again, the Adventures in Travel course this term will run on Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, starting on September 30th and finishing on October 21st.
The next course is the Ecology of the Salish Sea, and it's introduced by the facilitator, Michael Bradley.
This class is on the ecology of the Salish Sea, and we're fortunate to be having this class presented by Dr. Michael Jackson and his team from the Pender Harbour Ocean Discovery Station. The classes will be held on Wednesdays, October 13th through to November the 3rd, in the afternoon, 2 till 4, and the venue will be in Madeira Park at the Iris and Billy Griffith Nature Centre there. BC were really fortunate to be close to the Salish Sea, which is home to some of the most biodiverse ocean regions anywhere in the world. It's also been home to the Coast Salish people for millennia. In their honour, it's now known officially as the Salish Sea. Now, technically, the Salish Sea is an inland sea. It's surrounded almost totally by land, and the ecoregion that we refer to includes the shorelines, the ocean trenches, the estuaries, the rivers, and the forests. And of course, from an ecological perspective, it's all connected. In common with other coastal waters around the world, though, the pressure from human population, from climate change, from ocean acidification, the result is that the rich biodiversity has been declining. It's been a serious decline, especially in recent decades. So in this class, we'll learn about some of the local initiatives that are being carried out in order to monitor the pressures on the Salish Sea. We'll meet the local citizen scientists who are conducting regular field work to understand the pressures that are affecting the forage fish, the habitat and the abundance of the forage fish. The escapement of the salmon, how many of the salmon actually escape the netting and the pressures of the ocean and get back into the rivers of their birth. We'll hear about the roles of kelp forests and how, always known for their rich biodiversity, these days the significance that these kelp forests may have in combating climate change through carbon sequestration increasingly being recognized. The population of seals and sea lions, the pinnipeds, that's also being studied. And these citizen scientists are helping the researchers in various academic disciplines to understand just what is happening, what's going on. We'll hear about the blue economy, the concept that sustainable management of the world's oceans isn't only possible, but it can actually help coastal communities to prosper, while at the same time simultaneously rejuvenating the biodiversity and not harming the ocean. The class will be presented by Dr. Michael Jackson, members of the PODS team, including names like John Field, whom you probably know from his work with ElderCollege mushroom classes and similar work with us in the past. It will be held in Madeira Park at the Iris and Billy Griffith Nature Centre. Thank you.
The next class, Artists in the Studio, is introduced by the facilitator, Karine McCoggan.
Hi there, my name is Karine McCoggan, and I will be the host for the Sunshine Coast ElderCollege Artists in the Studio course this fall. The Fall 2021 Artists in the Studio course is a virtual studio tour with 4 Sunshine Coast artists using live video streaming hosted on Zoom. During the course, participants will engage in art appreciation, learning, and creative activities on 4 Friday mornings with a painter, a carver, a digital artist, and a fabric artist quilter in their workshops. The sessions encourage thinking about art and, if you wish, creating your own art. Participants have the opportunity to digitally connect with others, ask questions, and have conversations with the artists. This course runs on 4 Friday mornings from 10 in the morning till 12 noon. The 4 artists that will be providing a demonstration and showcasing their art are Linda Mason with landscape painting, Paul O'Brien for digital art, Denis Gobile, carving, and Karen Biddlecombe, fabric arts and quilting. To view this course, you'll need a digital device such as a computer or a tablet such as an iPad, and of course an internet connection, a Wi-Fi connection. For two of the sessions where you may have the opportunity to participate and create your own art, the digital sessions will provide a free list of painting applications, and in the Fabric Arts quilting session, a mug rug quilt kit will be available for $5 for purchase. In addition, you will require a spool of white or green, soft gray or green thread, and some sewing needles. Linda Mason is going to be the first artist on our studio tour. Linda is a painter and is going to provide a very interesting session called Tracing Footsteps, which results from her experience viewing sketches completed by a member of her family and then building on those for her own art expression. Denis Gobil is a wood carver who many of you may have seen his work on the coast. He likes to carve in wood, and specifically certain kinds of wood, specifically cottonwood. He will discuss with us his approach to carving and also explain the tools he uses for any folks who may be interested in picking up carving and trying it out after you watch Denis' demonstration. Some of you may be wondering how to draw on your phone, your iPad, or your computer, which is called digital art. Paul O'Brien is a longtime digital artist who's going to give us a sneak peek into some of the basic tools and techniques to create a variety of interesting effects with free online drawing applications and programs. Many residents of the Sunshine Coast are fiber artists who engage in quilting in a variety of different forms for functional and artistic form. If you've ever wondered what's involved in the basic techniques of getting into this type of media, Karen Biddlecombe is going to unlock the secrets for us. In the process of her presentation, you will also be able to work along, if you'd like, or afterwards, on a small project which is called a mug rug quilt. And this is available for purchase for those of you that would like to complete one of your own. We are fortunate to have such prominent local artists generously volunteer their time to help us learn about different forms of art. Please consider joining us at the Sunshine Coast ElderCollege for this special artistic adventure.
Next course, Shakespeare, Contemporaries and Conspiracies, is introduced by the facilitator, Keith Maxwell.
We're lucky this session to have another presentation by Vivica Ohm on Shakespeare. This is an updated version of a course presented a few years ago on Shakespeare, Contemporaries and Conspiracies. The course runs on 4 consecutive Tuesdays starting October 26th, running from 10 a.m. to noon. The course will be held in the St. Hilda's Church Hall. The course will cover a number of relatively recent theories that question the authorship of Shakespeare's works, all in the finest tradition of the conspiracy theory. Some of the great conspiracy theories of our time are listed here. Vivica will be dispelling the ones associated with Shakespeare. This slide shows the growth and evolution of the many theories questioning Shakespeare's authorship. Note that this wasn't questioned in his time, but latterly became a great game for many. Was there a case of literary fraud? Who stands to make money from this? Vivica will explore all of this in some depth. Here are some of the many theories that have been put forward over time, and it will be interesting to explore all of this with Vivica. This promises to be another in a long list of informative and entertaining presentations by our regular presenter, Viveka Om. I look forward to seeing you in person in class for a lively and spirited presentation and discussion. Bring your own theories.
The next class or the next course is going on solar energy and is introduced by the presenter, Jerry Pajot.
Greetings. This is the preview for the ElderU course being held in October 2021 called Harnessing Solar Energy. I will be presenting it. My name is Jerry Pajot, and I have been just fascinated with solar energy since I was in school back in the 70s. I have a bachelor's in chemical engineering as well as a master's that I got a few years later. And I have taken numerous courses specifically on renewables and solar energy. Why? Why do we want to go to solar? Well, it's one of the things that will help us solve our carbon problem. The carbon in the atmosphere has been rising dramatically since the Industrial Revolution, when we started burning fossil fuels at greater and greater rates, especially since the 50s, when the rate went completely exponential. And why does that matter? It's because carbon is a greenhouse gas, just like methane and nitrous oxides and so on. It keeps heat from radiating out from the Earth out into space. So it allows solar energy to come in, but insulates the heat going out, which is causing higher and higher temperatures and more extreme climate events. And of course, we have started really noticing them. In 2016, I had to update this graph. It was a 2020 graph that I got from Wikimedia. It's a good graph. And it was 2016 had gone up to 0.8, and at 2021 we're now well over 1 degree higher than the average of the last 2,000 years. So what can you do to fix this? What can we do to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, our carbon footprint? In other words, use less of everything. Everything you use has some carbon in it embedded. The more highly processed, then typically the more carbon is affected. Eat low on the food chain. This minimizes the carbon requirements for making your food. Meat and dairy have a huge carbon footprint. Plant less grass and more garden. Make your land useful. And if it's not garden, plant trees because they sequester carbon. Make energy conservation and efficiency a priority in all your daily decisions. This means don't just go for the cheapest thing, which may be a natural gas burner for heating your house. Spend a wee bit more, which over the long term probably will be less expensive overall, and also stop producing carbon. If you need a car, make your next car electric. Same thing. Using fossil fuel to drive a car puts a lot of carbon in the atmosphere, and it is no longer necessary. Electric cars do have a carbon footprint, but it is way lower than an internal combustion engine. If you're heating with a burner, oil, natural gas, propane, then replace it with a heat pump. You will immediately dramatically reduce your carbon footprint because BC Hydro's electricity is very low carbon. It's made from rushing water. And finally, install solar photovoltaics to generate electricity and solar thermal to make hot water. That will reduce your demand on other systems that have carbon footprints. So what am I going to talk about? It's mainly concentrating on that last point, the solar part. although we will talk quite a bit about the conservation as well, because it is way easier to save energy than it is to make it. So we will look at why conservation is the first step, and then we'll look at what renewables are available, how to analyze your site so you know, is your site suitable for solar at all? Is it suitable for wind, etc.? And then how to evaluate the different types of equipment and decide what works best for you. There are many different kinds of solar energy equipment, and they have different application points. So knowing how they work will help you choose what works best for you. And finally, we'll learn how to assess your site and calculate what kind of payback you'll get, because since 2014, solar has actually got a positive payback. It will save you money, and at the moment it saves you quite a bit of money. It's better than investing in bonds, for instance. So that's really awesome. Some people think that it's just something they have to do, that they'll spend money on to do the right thing, but it will also save you money, so that's doubly good. So I really hope that I will see you, because most of you are thinking residential. We'll talk a little bit about commercial power, but most of us are caring about, can we put it on our roof or in our backyard? And so we'll talk exactly about that. So I hope to see you in October. Bye. Greetings.
The next course, Do Not Fall for Fraud, is introduced by the facilitator, Laura Madalozzo. Laura, please.
Good afternoon. The course Do Not Fall for Fraud will be presented by Staff Sergeant Poppy Hallam on 3 Mondays, November the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd. We'll be live at the hall at St. Hilda's Church from 10 a.m. till noon. Many members of the public today recognize that it's not a matter of if, but rather when they will be victimized by fraud. Last year alone, over 70,000 Canadians reported fraud amounting to $104.4 million lost. Investigations can often face many legal, technical, and geopolitical challenges. During the 3 sessions, participants will learn how to recognize a scam before it's too late, how to protect, and how to report a fraud. Common types of fraud, most reported on the Sunshine Coast, include extortion, CRA phone scams, ransomware, identity theft, and COVID frauds. And we'll be discussing all of those in detail. Other topics to be covered include pyramid schemes, health scams, charity scams, romance scams, and hostage permits. Classes will be augmented with case studies and historical anecdotes. Staff Sergeant Poppy Hallam has been a police officer for over 20 years and has taken fraud-specific training and investigated many frauds over the years. She enjoys interactive learning and will provide much time for questions and answers and allow the class to guide the discussions. I hope you will join us. Mark your calendar.
Thank you, Laura. And the last course, The Secrets of the Microscope, is introduced by the presenter, Michael Bradley.
My name is Michael Bradley, and I would like to invite you to enter the secret world of the microscope. I will be the presenter for this class. It will be held on Wednesdays, November 17th through to December the 8th, 2 to 4 in the afternoon, and it will either be at Capilano University or it will be in Madeira Park at the Iris and Billy Griffiths Nature Centre there. With any luck, we'll get to see fascinating creatures like this tardigrade. At a class we gave a couple of years ago, one of these creatures appeared and entertained us for many minutes during the course of the afternoon. I didn't take that picture, by the way, but it is a really superb one, so that's why it's featured here. So, the secret world of the microscope, what does it reveal? Well, they're one of the key tools that have helped us to unveil the secrets of nature over the years. They've given us the ability to view, to study, to try to understand things that we couldn't even see before, like microbes and bacilli and viruses, with obvious implications for human health. Just think what we know about COVID and how we've been able to respond to that. The microscopes were deeply involved in that work. We can view structures within larger objects, like crystals in steel. Imagine what that means for engineering, to engineer safer bridges and so forth. We can study the symbiotic relationships within ecological systems, which have terrific, very important significance to understand the world around us. And with modern developments, we can even look at the structure of molecules, and even these days we can go down to the atomic level with the various indirect forms of microscopic observation. And you and me, we can use simple lenses and microscopes, and we can learn about the world around us. So what will the course cover? We'll explore how and why the microscope reveals the invisible. I like that phrase. It truly does reveal things that we couldn't see before. We'll cover the history of the microscope, from simple lenses to the instruments that are available today. Can be quite expensive, but some are quite modest in price. We'll cover significant discoveries where the microscope has played a key role. Many of those are in the area of human health. We'll cover some safe, practical experiments that we can do as hobbyists using the microscope on things that we might find in the kitchen, in the garden, or in a sample of pond water, or on the beach, and so forth. You really can find things to look at and get a different view on everywhere. And we'll learn what to look for if we're considering buying a personal microscope, whether it's for yourself, whether it's for grandkids. And there might be different criteria to apply depending upon what the end use of the microscope is planned to be, and we will cover that. Every week we'll have a chance to make our own slides and look at them and take them home, of course. And every class will include hands-on activities. We've done this class before, and the hands-on activities were very popular. But this time we're not going to share equipment for COVID protocol reasons. So we will each have our own microscope. There'll be a motley assortment of different microscopes, but everyone will have access to one. And each week we can swap and look at and use different ones. If you have your own specimens, please bring them along. And we'll have safe, enjoyable fun. We will. One of the things we usually look at when these classes look through microscopes is the bacteria in our cheek cells. It's a classic experiment, and it's one that's very easy to conduct. The presenter, me, will project images from someone's cheek cell, could be mine, could be yours, up onto the screen. We can even take pictures, I think, if you want. We'll look into any samples you might have brought. So if someone brings their homemade kombucha brew, we can look inside and try to see what's going on. It's very hard to see the bacteria, but some of the other organisms and some of the larger bacteria, the yeast, quite easy to see. And we will do what everybody expects to do. We will look at a drop of water, or we look at something that someone's picked up on the beach, and we'll observe and study the amazingly beautiful and diverse tiny organisms and plants that are out there thriving in our local micro communities. We'll get to see things like this archella, which is a shelled amoeba. Inside that casing is an amoeba. The casing is made up of tiny, tiny grains of grit, cemented and held together. This is a microsterius. It's a green protist. It's called desmid. This is less beautiful, but this is the head of a midgie. This is a chain of diatoms taken off some seaweed found on the beach. This is a clostridium. Clostridium are very common in water, especially if the pH is slightly on the acidic side. Right now, the density of these organisms in samples taken out of the Smuggler's Cove water is very, very high. If you take a very small drop, you will find dozens of these specimens there. That's where this one came from. This is the sort of structure that forms at the end of the spicules that make up the reef-forming glass sponges which we have living in the Salish Sea. You're probably aware that they are unique to this part of the world, in fact, not known to exist anywhere else, and thought to have been extinct for many hundreds of thousands of years. This is a Polysophonium. It's a red seaweed found on the beach, an interesting seaweed with a barrel-like structure to it. Paramecium, usually we find those. This is the whole glass sponge. You can see some of the network of spicules there that make up the structure of the sponge. And finally, what everyone expects to see, this is an amoeba. And amoeba are actually very hard to find. In all my years of looking through microscopes, I've only seen them a few times. But this is what you find when you look at samples from our local beaches, from our local water supplies, from top of Dakota Ridge, from a garden pond, all around us. We'll talk about how to make your own cell phone stand to use as a microscope. This uses a supplementary lens, which is that black object there in the middle of the perspex. And I have some of those lenses, so if anyone is seriously interested in making one of these, you can see how simple it is, the structure. The camera just lies on top of that. Then I will be happy to give them a lens free of charge. The presenter will be myself. Class size will be limited, has to allow for everyone to have access to a dedicated microscope, so that limits the size of the class. But of course it's limited for safety reasons and spacing reasons too. So the equipment and the eyepieces won't be shared. We'll practice strict laboratory and COVID protocols. Everything will be sanitized before and after the use each week. And the venue for this class is still being finalized, as I mentioned earlier.
This brings us to the conclusion of the preview presentation of the fall 2021 program of ElderCollege. We hope that you find many of them interesting and will enroll in some of them. Here again, the summary of the 14 courses that we have put together for you. Important is that you remember that registration opens up at 12 noon on August the 16th. Hope to see many of you. Thank you very much.